Hello, this is Mike Lively, and welcome to the next installment of Knowledge Space. Okay, we're working on Music Space. In order to do Music Space, we need a synthesizer, and so I built this little synthesizer. It doesn't quite make the grade, but there's a lot of good source code in here we're going to talk about today that you can actually use. So here's my little advertisement. Knowledge shall increase in the Omega, which is Omega Space, our event space, and check out the book at kshunter.wordpress.com. So let's go ahead and take a look at that real quick. So here's the book's website, Knowledge Space Hunter, and here's the next web article, and you can go here and you can take a look at the demo for the source code, and you can go ahead and download the source code as well from my Google Code right here. So if you click on Google Code, just go to my Google Code site and download the code. Let's go there real quick. There it is right there, synth-dynamic.zip, and that's all the code that we have used here to create this application. So now let's go through the application and talk about how it was created and the various links that will help you get started in this type of thing. Of course, once again, the book link, the demo link, the source link, that's all there. And here's a couple of really good sites that you want to take a look at. When you want to deal with music, you're going to want to understand the physics of music. Here's two great sites. Basically just www.phy.mtu.edu and surf around on those different links and you'll find all types of things on physics. Let's show that to you real quick. And this site is called Physics of Music, and it's just wonderful, and it'll give you everything you need to know to build these dynamic sounds in Adobe. So the program that we're looking at actually is not a recorded sound that's being played or shifted. It's actually being generated dynamically, and if you click around this site, you need to know a little bit about music, so this will help you out. Here's basically how the notes are done. Here's the equations for the notes right here. And we're basically generating a frequency and then shifting that frequency. Here they actually take a sound and shift the sound, but you still use the same equation of motion. And here's a notes table because you're going to need to know all these frequencies. I calculated them using that equation, but if you don't want to calculate them, you can actually get them from this site, Physics of Music. And from the Physics of Music, you can actually find all the different notes written down here in terms of frequency. And you need all that for the equations to generate that in Flash Builder. So let's go to Flash Builder real quick and just talk about the code just a little bit. So I'm in Flash Builder, and here's the main application. And I have a main app, and I have a few little assets. And then I have what I've called a lively org.sounds folder. And in that sounds folder, I have a piano 2, and that is basically this source code was generated by Jeff Swartz. And Jeff Swartz has basically written a very nice article on Adobe. Let's go to that real quick so you can take a look at that. And here's Jeff's article, and you can just surf to the address right here, www.adobe.com/devnet flash articles dynamic sound generation. And he does an excellent job of discussing and talking about how sound is generated dynamically in Flash Builder or in Flash. And what you want to do is go ahead and grab this article, download it, and go to it and read all about this. And we actually use Jeff's code, so come along here and download the code. That's one of the great things about Adobe's site is they do give you the code to work with. Download that and you can follow along with what I've done. Now I took Jeff's code and I changed it because all he did was create a Morse code application. What I've done actually taken that long and created a music code application. So that means I had to turn on my keyboard and I had to take those inputs, send them to an interpreter, and play back music. Now let's talk about the application just a little bit more because there's a few features here you want to pick up on, and then we'll look at the code snippets. So real quick here, you have the ability to type in sound from the keyboard. So if you erase this real quick and just type in sound, and then you can play that sound back. Great. Now if you like sound that you've created, you can save that sound to the desktop. So you can just basically give it a name and save it. Also, you can load sound, and in this particular instance, there's only one song you can load, and it's a song my son created, James, that you heard at the beginning of the video. In a further video, we're going to show you how to do this with PHP and do it dynamically. And then you can stop the song if you don't want to do that anymore. So there you have it. That's how it works. Once again, just type in what you want to type and then play the song. And of course, for Knowledge Space, we need a sound synthesizer generator if we're going to basically do Knowledge Space, and that's the beginning of one. This code doesn't quite make the grade, though, and you might ask, why doesn't it make the grade? Let's talk about that real quick. So why doesn't this code make the grade? Well, because of the annoying popping sound that you hear in the background when zero data sound input is fed into the event.data.write float method. And that popping sound has been documented in Adobe's docs, and so you know it's there. And how to get rid of it, well, I'm not sure. But because of that, it's not going to make a good sound synthesizer. But there's a lot of code here that we can be using in future developments, and so that's why I brought this to your attention. Let's go through the code snippets very quickly. I won't go through the entire code. You can go ahead and download that from the code and play around with it, but I will talk about some of the important things. First of all, here's a code snippet for basically dynamically generating all that, and you get that from Jeff Swartz's paper. You want to be able to use the frequency code to calculate the frequencies that you need to change the different sine waves. That's you can look at that and use those for my code. Basically, you want to be able to grab the key input, and that's just by adding a listener and then doing a key down, and then that runs a method that grabs the key character, and that key character is then sent to an interpreter. So let's take a look at the interpreter code. Here's all the interpreter code, and all that does is take the key character, for example, here's an O, and changes it to a frequency. Here's the frequency right here, and then that frequency is inputted to the sine wave, and different sine waves at different frequencies gives different data samples, which give different sounds. And all those frequencies were calculated basically from the physics site. I just basically use that equation. And finally, for saving, here's a save snippet. And that just basically shows you basically how to save something. And then once again, here's a snippet for importing that save sound into your application. So there's a lot of good code here, a lot of good starter code. Not a whole lot here as far as knowledge base is concerned, but you need this coding in order to get started. So we'll get started with all this next time, and we'll show you how to do this dynamic PHP, and we'll get more into the knowledge base universe. So once again, peering into the mind of God here through knowledge space, and I'll see you next time.